Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 182. There's a lot of special things about today's stream. First of all, it is the 1 year anniversary with me being here, your host for Wowhead Weekly. And secondly, it is also the first show of the year. So Happy New Year's to y'all. 2019 is here with us, and hopefully we can start the year with a great show and continue with even greater shows in the future after that. I want to introduce my co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead. Happy 2019. And this is exciting for a few reasons. One reason is that we have a new PTR build finally, so lots of 815 stuff. And another reason is why you see all these balloons and confetti. Maybe Annie knows a little bit about that.
Yeah, we can show off the confetti and the balloons right here. Okay, I just realized, I guess, talking about last year, being here for 1 year and going back, realizing how many mistakes I made in the past, I realized I didn't introduce myself. I am AnnieFuchsia, full-time streamer on Twitch, and I'm also your weekly host for Wowhead Weekly. There you go. Now we got it.
Yeah.
But yes, 1 year anniversary. Balloons, confetti, happy feelings. This is the Annie that I missed. Maybe this is all scripted. This was all planned, guys. Making a mistake just so you guys can remember how it was exactly a year ago.
So I'm really excited that Annie has been with us so long. I think you've done an amazing job. It was, great meeting you at BlizzCon, and you're very good navigating with the topics and having all the visuals. In spite of the mistakes, I think it's very professional. And we all mess up now and then, but I love how polished it is. And we have a special giveaway in honor of Annie. We have a mount giveaway because Annie loves mounts. It's a Vulpine Familiar, and the keyword to enter in Twitch chat is one word: Annie Yay. So ANNIEWA. Why don't you say Wowhead W? I'm smoking with the
nice
alphabet.
W.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. ANNIEYAY.
There you go.
Spelling is hard.
Yes. If you have trouble spelling as well, just copy the word from somebody else. Hopefully they got it right.
Yes.
And cross your fingers. No, but thank you so much. It's really nice being here. It's really nice being appreciated for what I do, and it's awesome having Wowhead around. Also being interested in the little things that I do, like being into mounts. Just the little things like that. Wowhead knowing that, and having Perk with me the entire year has also been awesome, because I would not be able to do it without you. I was so incredibly nervous at the beginning, and I kept relying on Perk. I was like, Perk, take over, Perk, take over.
That's good. We make a good team.
Yeah, we do. It's been awesome. I hope, I don't know if you guys have been watching since the beginning. I don't know if you guys watched Wowhead Weekly before I was the host, but I had some pretty big shoes to fill. Panzer was the previous host, and she is amazing at doing shows, podcasting, presenting, and all those kind of things. Knowledge and experience that I was lacking a lot, because the only thing that I had done was streaming, and streaming is so different from running a sort of news show. It's much more similar to, I guess you could compare it to doing a YouTube video, because it's a little bit more planned, a little bit more scripted. Whereas when I stream, I just switch on my stream. If I say something wrong, it's fine, because no one rewatches. I mean, some people watch VODs, but it's not a finalized video in the same way. And I was very, very nervous because of this. Pre-recorded, no, it's not. It's still a stream, but we have certain topics that we're gonna go through, and have some transitions between the topics, and those things were really, really new to me. And introducing
also
myself
the length
is
of the
another
stream.
one.
Yeah, it has to be a very set, beginning, middle, end with certain topics, and it's a 2-hour stream, not a 10-hour stream or 15. So it's just have to just structure it a little bit differently. But I think you've done a great job with it. And shout out to Panzer as well. She's really good at what she does. She's over streaming on Facebook now. She's also an awesome friend. She's the one that convinced me to adopt Brightpaw. He just appeared when she was staying over at my house, and she
she knows a lot about cats.
Me how to take care of the cat. So if you love Brightpaw, big thanks to her for really pushing me to adopt him. So.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. I remember being very, very nervous having to take over after her, but I feel better now, and hopefully I can one day be as good as she is at all these things. And I was mentioning introductions, and that's one thing that's very different with streaming. Like when I start my stream, I don't go like, "Hey guys, I'm AnnieFuchsia," you know.
Right.
I just jump right into whatever I'm doing in the game or in the topics that I want to talk about. And I if I would do a YouTube video as an experienced YouTuber, you would normally introduce yourself because people click YouTube videos, and at the beginning, a lot of times you have an introduction.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, plus Wowhead is such a varied audience that some people might not watch the show that just tune in because it's on the front page. So it's always good just to remind people of who you are. But yeah, speaking of stuff, we should get started with the show. We had some last minute introductions to the news, so we're going to cover all the last minute introductions and then move into the 815 PTR stuff. And yeah.
So you guys may have watched the show that was on the Warcraft channel about a couple hours ago-ish. The stream was on the story and lore, and it was less of a Q&A and more of having or being able to listen to people passionate about what they've done and talking about the lore. Do you want to give us a little summary of what they were talking about?
Yeah, definitely. So I knew this was going to be confusing from the start because every other time there's a live stream, it's a Q&A, and this one was not a Q&A. And it followed a huge lore update on the 815 PTR, so I think people were really hungry to get some questions answered about the new lore, but that wasn't what was going on. So if you came into the show with the mindset that you were going to hear people geek out about creating stories, you'd enjoy it. If you thought it was a Q&A, you would be disappointed. But Blizzard never said it was a Q&A. So they covered like what it was like to make Jaina story with this very like structured chapter format and how Bwonsamdi really came to life because the voice actor was so into it, and how in-game cutscenes are a lot of fun to use, but they went overboard in Cataclysm with them because it was the shiny new tech. So it was a lot of interesting tidbits, and you could really see how much Taryn Gregory and Steve Denuzer, I think that's how you say his last name, how passionate they were about this, and how they really talk with everyone who works on WoW to make the story happen, so it's not just this like afterthought. And there was a few interesting tidbits to go by. One tidbit was that Taryn Gregory was wearing a shirt that had the logo of Mechatork's like mecha suit mount, which could hint that maybe there's more in store for his character in the future. It could range from his role at the Battle of dazar'alor to maybe a hints for Tinkers or Mechagon in the future. And at the end, they also used some really precise wording discussing Battle for Azeroth that had callbacks to other parts of the story. They were talking about, they're like, oh, at the end of BFA, we hope people like the story after the last torch has been snuffed and last funeral pyre lit. And last torch being snuffed could reference the, 5 keys to open our path, 5 torches to light our path. And the funeral pyre kind of references the novellas in the pre-patch and Old Soldier cinematic where Seraphine keeps thinking about his son's funeral pyre and, honor, death, honorable death, or the Vol'jin funeral pyre. So everyone's like, is someone like, why do they use that exact language? Is someone going to, die that's important? Like, let's analyze this for clues. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't revelations. They didn't really say, oh my God, spoilers. They said they were shying away from spoilers. I just think as far as PR goes, whoever set this up could have emphasized more that, no, it's not a Q&A. Especially because when they announced it, they said, oh, leave your thoughts in this thread. So people thought their thoughts would be addressed because, hey, Blizzard asked for their thoughts. But as for the actual idea of having developers do a live stream that aren't Ian or Lore, I think it's a great thing, and that should be capitalized on more, and maybe they can harness this, passion of the developers into making streams that are more refined in the future.
Yeah, I think they should definitely continue doing that, because seeing people who are working on a game that you love and have played for a very long time is very nice to listen to. I myself I was not able to watch the whole thing because of being busy. If you are the same, the VOD is still there, and I would recommend you guys to go check it out, to just listen to them, geek out about everything that they have worked on. And yeah, it's always nice to hear people being passionate about things.
Yeah, it also gave me some ideas for articles that maybe I want to write, or questions I would want to ask them if I ever got an interview with them. For example, during the PTR, we do a lot of questline previews, or we data mine important dialogue phrases, and I'd be curious if they think that sort of stuff is positive in a sense that it hypes people up for the lore, or it hurts more, for example, that it spoils it or people take it out of context in a bad way. So I would be curious to learn more. Maybe since I'm the one that's sort of leading the charge on doing this, I might write my own opinion on how I think it helps and hurts. And another thing is player choice. They touched upon this a little at the live stream, but I think it's really cool how they discussed the player choice in 8.1, and said they like this idea and they want to use it in great moments of impact in the future. And we've data mined some more player choice things in 8.15, so I think it could be cool to, just put all that in one place and write down what I think would be an interesting way to go. And I know we've discussed here before how it would be cool if they took all that talent from the Legion class quest lines, and instead of having 12 classes, you have 12, personality-based quest lines. Here's the super good player quest line, and here's the super, Sylvanas evil follower quest line, stuff like that. But yeah, I would like to learn more about the difficulties in creating BFA. I'm very interested in the meta surrounding the lore. So, it's cool hearing that, Jane is fun to write, or Bwansamdi has really awesome lines, but I'm also curious about the challenges of, Legion was like a really feel-good expansion. What were the challenges of going down this route in BFA where the story is darker, or how do you still build up epic moments and payoffs when more of the characters are making questionable decisions and not being as heroic? Like, how do you still feel pumped up to experience the story if it's really, rough in some points? So I would be curious to hear more about those sorts of questions. So maybe if they ask for player feedback again, I'll submit them as questions I'd like to see answered. But this wasn't exactly a Q&A. But hopefully, maybe they can take feedback and make it better for the next time. But it's just nice to know there are other people besides Ian who work on WoW. they like working on WoW. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it would be great to hear some more of their thoughts, indeed, like you said, around BFA specifically, about the character progression and what they, how they feel about all of that. I think that would be very interesting. Hopefully they make more of these. Has anything else been announced as a non-Q&A video, or not video, but non-Q&A stream?
No, and I can't remember the last time. Well, I guess when Ian did his 20-minute patch 8.1 rapid fire, hey, stuff is coming, that was a non Q&A, but that was kind of short. This was like a full hour length presentation with two people.
And also that is still kind of like news, whereas this one is like they're just discussing things that are already there and like their own experiences. I think it would be
I think it's also good to have merit. Like, I remember what we've expected from interviews has changed over time. Like, when I started doing BlizzCon interviews, it was to have them expand more upon their topics of interest and you learn something new. And now with BlizzCon interviews, it's like, well, did you get a sign? Like, did they leak something to you? Did they tell you something about the upcoming patch, or, the raid? And it's like, that's a press release, not really an interview. So I think that interviews that can explain a thought process or just talk about what someone's passionate in still have value as well. It shouldn't just be like an interview disguised as, press release with one nugget of, crazy news thrown into the middle of it. That's sort of not really an interview at that point. So.
And speaking of news, we have some other news.
Yes. Very different news.
Very different news.
Big headline news: Destiny franchise to leave Activision Blizzard.
Yep, which is very interesting. Activision is the topic of a lot of discussions going around. People like to, always kind of blame the big head for whatever is going wrong. And it's interesting that Destiny is leaving Activision. Did they? What was the announcement like? What did they say?
So Bungie, the original studio behind the Destiny franchise, has announced that Activision will transfer the publishing rights back to them in an announcement today.
Mm-hmm.
And Bungie said when we first launched our partnership with Activision in 2010, the gaming industry was in a pretty different place. As an independent studio setting out to build a brand new experience, we wanted a partner willing to take a big leap of faith with us. We had a vision for Destiny that we believed in.
You're good. Your voice went down for like 1 second, but you're back now.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But to launch a game of that magnitude, we needed the support of an established publishing partner. And then they said, with our remarkable community, we are ready to publish on our own, and then Activision will increase their focus on their owned IP projects. And self-publishing isn't easy, and there's much for them to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Also, Blizzard clarified that Destiny 2 is still going to receive full support on Battlenet.
Okay.
And
I was actually wondering that too. Does that mean we will still see the game over there?
Yes.
Okay.
But just Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And then Jason Schreier, who was the journalist from Kotaku that's been breaking a lot of news on things like the Diablo leaks or mobile IP leaks or people, just restructuring leaks, said that he got a tip-off that at today's meeting announcing the news, Bungie staff cheered loudly. Can't overemphasize how happy they are, not just to get away from Activision, but to have a game that they now own completely. Imagine a Destiny free from Activision's restrictive annualized schedule. So to clarify that, because in larger companies, you have things like project management and you have things like quarterly goals and then annual goals. And some companies are more flexible than others. And sometimes it makes a lot of sense to have those types of goals and other times it doesn't. And based on what people were saying about Activision, it seemed that they had a very strict schedule as to, something always has to be done every quarter and at the end of every year, even if that doesn't align with, maybe what's best for the natural flow of a game.
The game. Yeah. Like being forced to have maybe certain changes, certain patches, certain things happening to affect the profits where it doesn't really make sense, but have to do it because of the guidelines.
Right. Which is also interesting now because it's, some people really love Destiny sometimes, but then they hate it for other reasons. And now if they're separate from Activision, if Destiny does something people don't like, then it's like, actually, maybe it'll be a lot better. But it's separate from Activision means that
then
Destiny can be judged on its own merits. So if it's bad, if people say, oh, it's the same thing, it's like, is Bungie still in charge now? So you can't blame Activision. But if it's markedly different, then it's like, maybe there was something to Activision having an influence. So it'll be interesting
so we'll see how it changes, if it does, and if how much it changes as well. And I'm wondering also if this is a sort of like a step towards wanting to release a new game, but wanting to do it under their own name. Do you think that's possible?
I think so. It's also, the industry moves so quickly, and 8 years is a pretty long partnership. So I feel that when they introduced Destiny, it was also a way to increase Blizzard's reach on the Battlenet launcher. And people at the time were like, oh, it's going to be competing with Steam. Like, is Blizzard going to get all these exclusive games to highlight? And maybe they have a different vision for the franchise now, especially combined with, Mike Morhaime leaving and, Blizzard now is very different than it was 8 years ago. Or maybe maybe Activision wants to do their own kind of Destiny genre game, and it was sort of a conflict of interest. Maybe Destiny wasn't fitting the bill, so they said, okay, we'll go be self-published, and now we'll make our, not Destiny clone, but, whatever it would be in that genre of game themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't really think about it from both point of views. Like, it could be because Bungie thinks that they will make the game better on their own. It could also be that Activision wants to do something that doesn't fit with Destiny. That's interesting.
So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, usually we hear companies taking on more and more products and sort of growing. So hearing Bungie saying, no, we're going to be self-published and be on our own.
It's a big step.
Yeah, it's a big step, and I think that it's shaking things up, and I hope they do well. not having I think monopolies of things can be weird and breed stagnancy. So I think if we can have more self-publishing companies go at it, that's a good thing for competition and variety.
Definitely. Do you think this, because this might lead to people asking if it's possible for Blizzard to leave Activision? Do you think that would ever be possible? Because they're a lot more like tangled into each other than Destiny was.
Yeah. I think for business legal reasons that I'm not super qualified to speak on, if I have specific terms, I'll butcher them, that they're too intertwined to actually...
Intertwined, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, like they had, like Bungie was a studio that had Destiny, and they came to Activision to help promote and publish it on certain platforms, but they were still making the game. With Activision Blizzard, it's like they're baked together in the name. And, before Blizzard was owned by, was it Vivendi? So it's like Blizzard was always in this type of partnership with another conglomerate or investor, and now it's so I think,
like they were never alone, is what you mean?
Yeah, they were never alone for quite a while. It will be interesting to actually research more of this. I feel that in the last month or so, with all these announcements, having a background in business or marketing would be very helpful. So, like everyone's reporting on this, but I want to make sure I'm not misinterpreting anything.
It's complicated. That's why I'm also like asking you, like, is it possible? Because these things are very complicated.
Yeah. Or it's like, because business isn't really a part of like World of Warcraft news, I don't want to report on something and be like, oh my God, it's so shocking, I've never heard of it before. And people are like, yeah, that's because you don't pay attention to business. Like, here's like 10 other businesses that work the same way. So I just don't want to say anything that stupid. For example, with like the See You Later bundle, I think was a bad idea. But it's also interesting to learn and see the parallels to the Disney Vault and not just be like, Blizzard invented this. It's like, well, knowing that there's this other business angle that other companies try to do this kind of sketchy practice then makes me have a more informed analysis and a more accurate one than just sort of spouting actions.
We talked about the See You Later bundle last show, right?
Yeah, we did that. And it's over. We got reminded of it every day with tweets on Twitter that Blizzard had a See You Later bundle. It was a little over the top. And it's over. And I hope they don't do more of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember us talking about like what the reason behind it could be. Besides like having, because I think we even touched on the topic of having too many options sometimes leads to people not getting anything. So like limiting the number of things that you can get means people are more likely to get it. So yeah. But yeah, in case you're not aware of what it is, the See You Later bundle was basically selling a bunch of different pets, transmogs, mounts as a combined bundle at a discounted price as a way to say goodbye, see you later to them, because they were going to be archived. So currently they are archived and you're not able to buy them on the store anymore, but they did say that they may bring them back at some point in the future. So they're not gone forever, but they are archived for now.
And the thing is that it's based on, a lot of people think it's based on what's called the Disney Vault, which is back when they were video cassettes. Every 7 years or so, things would be discontinued for a period of time. So it's like you had to get, Alice in Wonderland now, or else it was going to go away for a few years. Then you couldn't buy it again. And this was before the era of, pirating things. So like you were really stuck if you didn't have this, video cassette. So and Blizzard has done programs that have mimicked Disney before, such as their pin collection program. It's very similar to Disney with how some pins have higher rarities than others. Some are really difficult to get. Some are only available one time. Not all of them are, promoted equally. Some are meant to be kind of secret. So this might be another type of thing they've taken from Disney. And yeah, people don't really like the Disney Vault as well because it creates this artificial scarcity that you have to buy now or else you'll never get it again, except you will get it again. And similar to the Vault, I believe their most popular titles, they keep always in rotation, but then the ones that aren't like number 1 or number 2 are in this rotation, kind of similar to how the mounts being retired are the ones that are not as popular.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I hope that I hope, I mean, if it's financially driven, hopefully the See You Later bundle was not a huge financial success. So hopefully if Blizzard looks at the data, they can say, oh, well, people bought the discounted stuff, but the backlash specifically with See You Later is not worth continuing. Let's just do our, 50% off sales as usual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think those are a lot better.
Yeah. I just, I guess if it happens again, we'll say, well, they must have had data that people clicked that buy button.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I guess we'll see which version or which way of doing things ends up being the most successful for them. But hopefully we don't archive more mounts to see them later for limited time.
Right. So, on to the 815 PTR news. Mm-hmm. And as usual, as we're doing the show, if you have any questions, you can direct them to Sass, and he'll compile them for us at the end of the show. We haven't had a lot of questions recently because there wasn't really any super complicated breaking news, but with the PTR, maybe we'll get more questions than we have for a while. So just a heads up, you can do that.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, the new raid that comes in on the 22nd, that is not 8.1.5, right?
Exactly. Season 2 is coming, and that has all the 8.1 class changes and Azerite.
And the new raid.
Yeah, and the Battle of dazar'alor raid. 815 is its own thing that just started testing yesterday. Mm-hmm. It has a completely different raid, the Crucible, and it has the allied races, and I think even more class changes.
Okay. Yeah, so the 8.1.5 PTR, that's what we are going to go through with you guys to show you what we have found and what you can expect. The date for it is not currently known.
Right. What was I going to say? Next week, we'll probably highlight what's coming in Season 2 and what's going away with Season 2, because that starts on the 22nd. So it's stuff like dazar'alor, the Reaping Mythic Plus stuff, I think the new PvP season. 815 is probably not until like end of February or March, because we have to get through all the wings of dazar'alor looking for raid. And it would be weird to introduce a patch with class changes and stuff in the middle of a raid.
Yeah.
Or be like, oh, surprise, like, a Wing 3 LFR now has Zandalari trolls, have fun.
Yeah, I think there was already a bunch of complaints and backlash after changing the classes in the middle of a PvP season. Mm-hmm. We don't need it again, and not for PvE as well.
So the first thing we want to discuss is Blizzard adds a Stanley Tribute to WoW. So if you aren't familiar with Stanley, beloved figure, and now he is Stanley, just Stanley, one word.
Yeah, I like the spelling of it. It's like Stan, S-T-A-N, Lee, L-E-Y, as a one word, one name.
And he walks around the Stormwind Keep, and when he gets to the throne room, he exclaims Excelsior, one of the catchphrases that, is most familiar with his canon. So people really love this. Some people have been asking, like, where is the Horde? There are 2 more NPCs data mined called Stanley. One is wearing sort of commoner clothes, and the other is a human wearing a Horde outfit and tabard. So maybe the Horde will get something as well.
That's interesting. Do you think the Horde version will stay as a human version?
I think so, because the human's meant to resemble him. It has the same silvery hair and mustache. Mm-hmm. So I think it's meant to.
It'll be interesting where they decide to put him then. Right.
I can't really see him walking into, like, Sylvanas' room, especially with all the strife going on and being like, hell! It doesn't totally make sense. But it's interesting to know that he might pop up in some more places. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
that was a cool
awesome
thing to see.
It's awesome to see that Blizzard did it. And they have, you guys may be familiar with a lot of other characters whether they have passed away or not, people who've, had a big impact in one way or another in some corner in the world. And Blizzard adds them into the game, which is amazing to see. And having Stanley there is one of these things. And I think it's great. I think it's great.
Another general change that was received pretty positively was the addition of the portal rooms added to Stormwind and Orgrimmar.
Ooh, yes.
This puts all the portals in one place together. The Alliance ones go to Stormshield, Borealis, Azuna, Dalaran, Exodar, Shatrath, and Jade Forest. And then the Horde ones take you to Silvermoon, Shatrath, Ashran, Azuna, dazar'alor, Honeydew Village, and Dalaran, Northrend. And the rooms look pretty cool. It kind of gives me, the Alliance one gives me a vibe of the Paladin Order Hall. It's got light streaming down and it's got lions everywhere. I think it's pretty. And you've got a lot of like mages around there with portals. It's not just an empty room. So it has a lot of flavor. It looks cool. I'm pretty happy with it.
Here's the Horde version as well.
Yeah.
Showing a bunch of pictures. I see here in chat that apparently there's been a lot of bad feedback for these portal rooms. Have you heard anything of that? Do you know what it's about, Perk?
It's a mix of feedback. Looking at comments, I think people are happy the portal room exists, but I've seen some negativity that they remove portals elsewhere. For example, the portals in Legion Dalaran, except for the ones going to Orgrimmar and Stormwind, have been removed, including those in the Chamber of the Guardian. And I can see that not being good because Chamber of the Guardian took you to very specialized areas like Karazhan, for example. And that's
so
not
those portals were removed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And other people are like, Azuna's cool, but wouldn't it make sense for a Horde to go to High Mountain? Because, High Mountain, Tauren, or people are saying that now they've lost their quick access to Caverns of Time. So I think the rooms themselves are okay, but removing the portals elsewhere wasn't all right. Also, some people are saying the portals in Borealis to Ironforge and Exodar have been removed, so the only way to Ironforge now is to fly there from Stormwind or have a mage.
So there's no Ironforge portal in Dalaran either?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Portals in Borealis to Ironforge and Exodar have been removed.
Okay.
Also, the portal to Hellfire Peninsula, they said, was gone.
Do you think that could still be changed? I feel like that's a lot of missing portals.
Yeah, I mean, the room's humongous. They could stick more portals in. I hope they would.
Yeah.
Like people are saying, it would be good to have portals to Karazhan, Caverns of Time, Wormrest, Ironforge, and Darkshore would be cool. Also, people are saying an Innkeeper would be nice because, a lot like, so if like teleports or portals or things like the Guild Cloak take you there, it would make sense to be able to have your Hearthstone go there as well.
I agree. In case you guys are not aware, the Guild Cloak is actually very, very useful. I've got 3 versions of them. They do not share cooldown. One is on a 2-hour timer, one is on a 4-hour timer, I think, and one is on an 8-hour timer. And you can use all 3 to get to Stormwind. I use them all the time. I recommend them. And now that they take them to this new portal room with possibly more portals, it makes it even more worth it.
Yeah, I think the issue is that like Legion Dalaran was so good, and
it really was.
Nice having this, like just getting rid of all that made people upset, and I can totally see that.
Because we have a Dalaran Hearthstone, and I'm still using it because of those portals. So that's kind of sad if they're gone.
Yeah, and people are saying that it's nice being able to experience all the other cities. Like, why do you have to be forced into just Stormwind and Orgrimmar? Why can't you have amenities in every major city to make all those other places, feel alive? Because they have a lot of unique art put in them. So why just ignore the cities?
Yeah, I agree. So the new portal room, does that one have all the portals to the different cities?
No, that's the thing.
It doesn't either?
No.
Okay.
So, there's no Karazhan portal anymore. It's just, not there.
Yeah, okay. Now I can understand some of the negative feedback. Because I was looking at the pictures and I saw some of the portals and I said, this is amazing. I'm so glad. Like, why haven't they done this earlier?
Yeah, now that I'm actually reading the comments, like, I didn't realize Legion was removed until I read these. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that does sound pretty... Especially for people that are mount farmers or people trying to do stuff in old zones.
Yeah. Legion is not that old. Like, a lot of people still have things that they're missing in Legion.
Right. Or even things like being able to just get to obscure places in Pandaria quickly, or Caverns of Time, or Karazhan, I think is really good. Also, it seems weird to remove some of these things from places like Borealis. Like, Borealis is the current... You had to spend a lot of time there, I hope. Why are we removing stuff from Borealis?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's a bug. This is just the first PTR build, so maybe there's hope. Definitely leave some comments, polite comments on the forums, though, explaining why this is good. There's a lot of well thought out comments on Wowhead, but I'm not sure if the devs read through all of the comments there. But I think there's a lot of good feedback that's explaining the flaws without being like hyperbole or vulgar. So I'm actually really like this feedback. I'm like, oh, all the commenters are making me so proud. So
Aww. That's good. That means you guys are breeding a good people attitude, and that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very important to give feedback in a way that's possible to read without feeling angry. Because imagine yourself, if somebody comes to you and starts hitting you or shouting at you, you're less likely to take them serious compared to somebody who tells you like, hey, this is actually a bad idea because of this and this.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead and give your feedback, and hopefully we can get those portals back. We need them. We need those portals, Blizzard, please.
So the next topic of discussion has some interesting collection and holiday stuff, which is up your alley, Annie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have some new updates. Most of these updates are regarding pets, but we have some other cool things too. We can firstly, can you say firstly? We can first of all, can first of all jump right into the new Raiding with Leashes achievement. You guys may recognize this from the past. Raiding with Leashes has now traditionally been different pets that you collect from an expansion's raids, where once you collect all of them, it gives you a new reward of an extra special pet. And the expansion now of interest is Pandaria, or MOP. Mists of Pandaria.
What's first off is really cool about this is that the achievement specifies just pets from the early tier raids, so Mogushan, Terrace, and Heart of Fear, which can open that up to maybe another Pandaria
you're right.
for like Throne and Siege of Orgrimmar. So there are 11 pets you have to collect. I think the Comet one looks super pretty from, I think it's Elegon. It's like a spectral Quillen. I think I don't know, something with a constellation. It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks like a constellation similar to the Elegon mount. So so these mounts, we know which raids they're from overall. We know that they're from one of those 3 raids, but we don't know which one is from which one. But Wowhead has put a list of which boss is more likely to drop them based on the what's it called, the text. The
flavor text. Yeah. So when they're like, oh, as a spawn of the most dangerous Shaw, it's like, oh, I bet that drops from the Shaw of Fear. So.
Yeah, exactly. I have a slideshow showing some of the pets over here. And I also have a picture. There it is. That's the Constellation one. Perfect timing that it came up just now. So this one is anticipated to probably drop from Elegon. But we'll see once we see more information on it. The reward for collecting all 11 of these pets is Shaw of Happiness.
So if you were on Twitter during Mr. Pandaria, there was a Shaw of Happiness account, and there was a lot of memes surrounding it. And this is definitely a nod to that community creation. I mean, if you look at it, it's like it's a Shaw, and it's actually smiling.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. A lot of people have pretty positive memories of the Shaw of Happiness. Like, it just was sort of RP and pretend to be the Shaw that just was like really positive about everything and really cute Shaw emotes. So I think it's a nice tribute. It made me feel very nostalgic for that period of being on Twitter and Mr. Pandaria. And it's a super cute model. It was really popular when we shared it. It's so cute.
Shout of optimism. Exactly.
Yep.
No, it's adorable, and hopefully it is meant to be as a tribute. I think it would make sense since that was specifically called Shout of Happiness.
Yeah. As to other pets and events that got updates, next up we have the Darkmoon Faire. I think that's what we're discussing.
We got the Darkmoon Faire pets. Yeah. There's 3 new pets from Darkmoon Faire. You can get them for the Darkmoon tickets, as usual. And all of these pets have a sort of theme of looking like stitched balloons.
They're so cute. I love the wolf. It's so, like, happy puppy.
We're looking at the Murloc now. There you go. There's the wolf. They are really cute. They look almost broken, but not really. They're not popped, so they're alive. They're good.
That's so mean. You're like, I want to pop the balloon.
That's the thing. Like,
there should be like a toy, like balloon popping toy.
Oh, or like, no.
They're weak to a battle pet that has a pin ability.
Oh my god. That's so sad, though. Like, I'm gonna kill your pet by popping it. I wonder how these pets move. Are they just floating? Do we know?
I'm pulling up the... Yeah, they sort of hover. I just pulled them up in its model viewer, and they sort of lightly move up and down right now.
Okay, yeah, so they're kind of hovering then. Hovering/flying. But yeah, please, if you guys get any of these pets, do not carry a needle nearby. Needle or pin. Need to be safe.
No daggers.
No daggers either. So if you're a rogue, don't get this pet.
Another fun Darkmoon Faire update is what we actually learned about in our BlizzCon interview. It was the Darkmoon roller coaster, which doesn't really serve a purpose except that you can ride it and feel dizzy. And we were actually able to go on the ride on the PGR, and it's very noticeable. Like, it's gigantic. Like, you see the silhouette of the Darkmoon Faire from far away, and it's like, bam, there is the roller coaster. It takes up a lot of space.
I'm going to show you guys a video too. I hope the video isn't too loud. I'm going to turn it down because I feel like the pictures doesn't do it complete justice. Right. So I'll let you guys be on the ride for a moment. There you go. Now it's moving. Oh, I just saw the pets, the Darkmoon Faire pets.
Yeah.
The balloons, they're floating there. Yep. We're at the theme park, boys, and it's going down in a second. Are you ready? And we're gone. Raise your hands. No, don't. It's a security issue. That's an interesting question. Do we need reputation to unlock the ride? Probably not.
No, you just need to use a ticket.
Just like all the other rides and everything. It might also turn into a daily, maybe, to go on the ride.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they would do that, because if there's jokes about feeling dizzy, I think there could be, like, health issues or doing things that make you feel sick.
You're right.
It's like maybe just an achievement to go on the ride, because that way you can just like get on the ride and like close your eyes, but having to navigate when you're on the ride.
That's a vertical one. Holy. Okay. And there you go. That was it.
Yeah.
That was a good ride. Good ride. Let's go back here. Transition. Bam. Yeah, it was a really, really steep one. It was completely vertical. Puke? Yeah. Thanks for the ride. No puking.
So that's why I'm fine not attaching dailies to doing things on the ride.
Yeah, but no, completely understandable. I didn't think about it, but once you mentioned it, it's like, of course.
Blizzard said that this was sort of a passion product. One person kept working on it in his spare time, and then they realized that it was so far along that they could just sort of stick it into the game. And I think that's really cool. Like, it's not the first time they've had that. The Darkmoon carousel was something an intern made that was later hired, and they just took his art, contest project and just put it into the game because it was so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, back on the collection topics, the next one up is regarding the holidays. So we have some new holiday updates. First update is more pets.
Yep.
4 new pets as part of the Children's Week holiday, and I've got pictures as well to show you guys right here. I believe I don't remember the names of these pets, but
I got them.
You got them? There you go.
Yeah. We got Mr. Krabs.
Perfect. That's the one that we see right now.
Yep.
Okay, now a turtle.
Yeah, I got Beakbert the turtle.
There you go. And the next one is a frog.
Froglet.
Froglet. And one last one.
Scaly.
Scaly. There we go. Little dino. So cute. But yeah, so these will be part of probably by doing it all the ways that has been done in the past where you get the tokens and unlock them, or do we know?
We don't know yet, but they are also adding new orphans, Kulturis and Zandalari, to this. And we data mined a lot of broadcast text. Nothing super spoilery, but just the orphan is, talking about meeting like the Seventh Legion or Magni and the Wound in the World, stuff like that. So maybe we take those along and we can get some pets that way, similar to how there was the Oracle and the Wolvar orphans from Northrend that had its own special reward.
Mm-hmm. Is it still the case with the Children's Week that if you want to get all the pets, it'll take you at least 2 years because of the once per event pet?
Let me pull that up right now. I know the achievement. The achievement is Veteran Nanny. That's the one in question.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because it's Egbert Egg, Sleeping Willy, and Elec Training Collar on one character. And you don't get the achievement if you purchase the pets on the auction house.
Yeah, that's it. And when is Children's Week?
It's in May, and I just checked the achievement. The new pets are not being added to Veteran Nanny.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about having even more.
Mm-hmm.
And I just checked the achievements, and there are no achievements for the BFA stuff yet, but that's subject to change as well. But so far there's nothing achievement-wise.
Yes. I see a question, 2-year-long achievement. Yes, this is one of those achievements that takes a long time just because of the restriction. Yeah. You have to have these 3 pets on the same character. You get one, let's say Children's Week is right now. You get one right now. Then you get one in 1 year. And then you get the third one in 2 years. So It's basically 3 Children's Week events. And if you do them every time, 3 in a row, it's over 2 years.
Yep.
It's a pretty intense achievement for people who may have missed it, because then you have to wait another year to be able to get it. You're limited to 1 per year.
Right, and this is on top of how there's a PvP achievement to take your orphan in different places. So Children's Week is one of the more stressful holiday events.
Yeah, so when the event starts, I would suggest, if you're interested in the achievements, I would suggest starting with them immediately or as soon as you can.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Speaking of other things coming as far as world events, there's a lot of new items related to events. Mm-hmm. So many holidays now have Hearthstones with them. If you remembered Wintervale, like the Hearthstone had the snow and it made you dance around.
Yeah, I like that. It was a cute one.
Yeah. So that's already coming up for Lunar Festival and Love is in the Air, and they just added more for Brewfest, Midsummer, and Noble Garden. Mm-hmm. Noble Garden has bunny ears in different colors. And I think they removed the gender restriction on that, or they changed the wording a few months ago. So maybe you can put bunny ears on guys as well, I think, maybe. The Darkmoon Faire has fish heads you can wear. You can fish them up. We have no pictures of this, though.
Wait, is this part of the Hearthstone?
No, this is just this is separate from the Hearthstone.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because I was gonna say the winter one looked really cool, and I'm really curious how these new Hearthstones will look like, because I didn't see any information on the visual yet, but I'm guessing that it will be a pretty cool animation too, hopefully.
Yeah, I feel like Blizzard's trying to keep that sort of under wraps to have an element of surprise.
Yeah, probably.
But, good for them. Mm-hmm. The most interesting thing, 2 things. There's a free T-shirt day mini holiday. And we data mined lots of versions of shirts already in the game, which makes sense because it's free T-shirt day. So most likely there's going to be some vendor, and you talk to the NPC and you get a free T-shirt for the day. Mm-hmm. but it's all sorts of ones like replicas of shirts that maybe cost 100 gold, or replicas of shirts that are super cheap, or some from tailoring. And that's a cool micro holiday coming. And then we should also close out a holiday discussion by talking about the Brawlers Guild a little bit.
Yeah,
We learned
for how long has it been gone?
It was gone in the Legion pre-patch, and so it's been gone like half a year, a little more than a year, half a year at this point. And it's not available to test yet, I don't think, but we know there's going to be a murder mystery quest line to give people a story. We know that there's going to be an armor set that you can get, and the bosses are back, and there's challenge cards. And some of them are really funny. So if you remember the Seagull from last time, it's now the Hyper Mega Mecha Seagull 9000.
Yeah.
So that's going to sound pretty amazing. Mama Storm Stout. Yeah, Mama Storm Stout from the mop questing should be there. And Marcus, if you follow the steamy romance novels, they're all involving a guy named Marcus, and he is going to be one of the encounters, which I'm sure will sound hilarious.
That's awesome. I wonder if that means, or maybe not even have to wonder, there's probably going to be more new achievements involved as well.
Yeah, all the achievements are back, and there's also a new mount. Bruce is back as a mount, so it's like a crocodile with spikes, so more things to collect.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so we have some broadcast text with the murder mystery, but it's really hard to hype that up when you characters you don't know yet, but apparently some of the NPCs from the Brawlers Guild have been killed, and you investigate it, and apparently it's like a lot of whodunit, like there's a courtroom, and you're sort of like, who killed this? Like, was it Jaina? Was it the Lich King? Was it like Illidan? It just sounds really goofy. And
wait, so it's like a special game that you can play in there?
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to track down who was trying to kill the quartermaster of the Brawlers Guild, and like maybe was there gold involved.
It was definitely not Jaina, okay? Definitely not Jaina. My bet is on one of those Darkmoon pets. I think they look very suspicious with their balloons,
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they've decided what kind of characters you can vote on.
I always have this tinfoil hat theory that the Darkmoon Faire is related to the old gods because the eyeballs are really similar.
Yeah.
And there's all these weird mentions of like, I need these Darkmoon cards to serve, the master, or, it's the same Cthulhu blinking eye following you around. And we'll get to this a little bit later in the notes, but back when we data mined this helm with an eyeball, and it's used for something with Xalatath. But when I saw the model, I'm like, oh, it's a Darkmoon Faire hat. So
those eyes have always been so creepy, like on the gate and everything. It's like, this is a positive thing, right? It's a theme park, so definitely not suspicious at all.
And they get all this market research on how the people of Azeroth think, and then they can give that back to the old gods so they know how to manipulate us better.
And now they're manipulating us with this new roller coaster, making us feel dizzy, so we can't think properly.
Right, or they'll be like, oh, this is how the humans react to fear, so we'll act in ways now that we know what they do when they're scared. So
imagine that in like some kind of boss fight where you get dizzy in it, and that's like a weakness, so you can't, use your abilities for a minute or something.
Like, oh, we can paralyze them by fear. That's how we'll make them lose their senses. I'm like, oh, I will like have them get on the tentacle, and then we'll just flail a tentacle around so that's where it did.
Yeah, that was it for collections. Although no, we have one more little collection thing, which kind of
transition-y thing into the next topic.
The next topic coming up is allied races, and still on the topic of collections, we have the new model for Zandalari Paladins. And of course, I have a picture for you so you can see how it looks like. And the feedback has been very positive. I mean, I think some people were upset that the Zandalari racial mount doesn't look as cool as the Paladin specific one.
Right, but all the racial mounts are a bit underwhelming, I feel. Like, Maghr orcs have a wolf and Kulturists has a horse.
So it wouldn't make sense for Zendlar
Yeah.
to suddenly have a super, super fancy racial. But the
Yeah.
paladins are getting a lot of love in this. I mean, I think it looks amazing.
I think it's really exciting. I think it's amazing. It's the golden dinosaur
Yeah.
everyone's been dreaming of.
Mm-hmm.
And dazar'alor has very like paladin Zandalari looking weapons, so you can really live up that Zandalari paladin fantasy. You know, you won't just be stuck wearing tier 6 or something that looks very, like human Uther inspired paladin. Like you can really dive into that Zandalari fantasy.
No, I really love this. And the golden shade is also like a perfect golden together with the little green details. I think it
Yep.
looks amazing. I think all the paladins are now going to race change. Everyone wants this mount. No,
Yeah.
I think it looks awesome.
Speaking of races and reasons to race change, the racial traits were finally revealed, all the details for Kulturan human and Zandalari trolls. And this has caused quite the discussion because before, while we learned roughly what they did, we didn't know the values, and some of the values are pretty OP.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Should we jump into the Zandalari troll ones?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about trolls.
Right. So, one got a lot of discussion, the Embrace of the Loa, because there are 6 different things you can do and you can pick which one it is. And people are saying that it's really nice how there's all this customization. You know, the Maghr orc, when they have their racial, they just get a proc that's like, oh, Maghr clan or some clan. It's like, oh, well, the orcs can't pick a clan, but Zandalari can like pick the Loa. So, for example, you have a Kunda. You can heal for extra. Bwansamdi is shadow damage and healing you. Gonk is movement speed. Kimball is a dot. Kragwa is more health and armor. And Paku is 5% critical strike. So that all the customization sounds very nice and they all seem very useful there. There's one that's a falling fall damage, assisting with that, reduces fall speed. Gold increases gold earned from creatures, and the one that's caused a lot of commotion is regenerating because you regenerate 25% of your maximum health every 1 second. The cast lasts for 4 seconds, so you do the math, you get healed to full, and it's on a 1.5 minute cooldown. So that's very overpowered.
Yep.
Blizzard did show up to say that the values are not final. The aspect where it's not interrupted by damage is unintended, and they're discussing adjustments. But with how hyped up these racials were, it probably would have been good not to go with it in this state. Or maybe just stick like a not fully implemented thing in the tooltip, because right now it seems very overpowered.
Yeah. I mean, healing for full over 4 seconds. Sure, 4 seconds is a long time, but you can easily get, hide somewhere and get that HP. Yeah, and that as well. No, it should definitely interrupt as soon as anyone hits you. But yeah, I'm curious to see what percentages they will change it to if they do decide to change it. How much does the Draenei heal for?
Let me pull that up 1 second.
25% every second. Like, what if it's meant to be 25% overall, like over the 4 seconds? Would that be better? I mean, then it's kind of weak if you have to sit there and channel it.
Right. These also seem kind of transformative, like 5% crit. Like that's I don't know. That's a lot of crit.
That is a lot of crit.
Gift of the Naru is 20% of the caster's total health over 5 seconds, and it's on a 3-minute cooldown. So this is way more healing. The cooldown is way shorter.
Yeah.
But yeah, even looking at it, it's like, oh, Draenei have shadow resistance, reduces shadow damage taken, and like gem cutting, jewel crafting increased by 10, and Zandalari instead are like, oh yeah, like heroic presence increases your strength, agility. I guess that's good, but it just seems like 2 of the racials for Draenei are like not that strong, but Zandalari have this huge range of bonuses they can get to be more customized. If we look at the cool tier on human, we have Haymaker, which deals damage, it stuns and knockback, so that seems good for PvP. We have versatility, which sounds cool, but it's not as compared to regenerating, it doesn't sound as cool. Brush it off is increases versatility by 1%. When you take damage, heal for 2% of that amount over 4 seconds. And so when you hear like heal to full versus heal for 2%, you're like,
Yeah. About that balance.
Yeah, then there's Child of the Sea. You can swim faster and underwater breathing is increased. So I bet there's going to be some underwater treasure that you need. Or if you don't have a water strider, maybe this is good if you, can't water walk. Then there's Jack of all trades, increases trade skills by 5. And Rime of the Ancient Mariner reduces frost and nature damage taken by 1%.
Yeah, I feel like these numbers make a lot more sense. Like 1% there, versatility 1%. The dazar'alor wants at 5% crit. Like that's
5% movement speed, 5% crit.
Yeah.
Like they just seem more complex too. Like even Embrace of Kimball is like, your damaging abilities have a chance to cause the target to bleed over 6 seconds, and this effect stacks up to 3 times. Like it just suddenly seems like it's almost, I don't know, like trinket procs at this point.
Yeah. It's very true. They're very intricate, very specific effects. Yeah, I think it does make sense that the numbers have to change, not just for the heal, but some of the other things too.
Yeah, I'm not saying the customization is a bad thing. If anything, it would be like, why don't more races have these customizable options too?
Yeah, I understand that they can't just go back and change every race, but for the new ones, I feel like they could, have given maybe CoLeader a couple choices too.
Yeah, just to balance it out, since they are coming at the same time. And I know there's also been some critiques that like some of the allied races have more customization options than the other ones, like the CoLeader on male faces are pretty limited at this point. There's like 2 of them, so there could be some customization balance needed as well. Speaking of next, we did learn what the culture and human allied race jokes and flirts are. We've learned all the other allied races for quite a while, like, including dazar'alor. We knew the lines back in the alpha. And now we've got these in. I think the accents are funny, so.
I have a video with all of the male jokes, and I thought the best way to show it to you guys is to show the text on the screen and also just play them.
Yep.
So
let's meet at the harbor.
This does mean that
we could be 2 ships passing in the night. You must be a siren, 'cause I can't resist ya. I bet together we could really make some waves. Get your fishing net ready, 'cause I'm quite the catch. Fancy a drink, love? I know a good dive bar. Hope you enjoy fishing, 'cause I'm throwing you a line. Are you from Drustvar? Because you've got me bewitched. Those shifty mainlanders build such tiny ships. Me, I like big boats, and I cannot lie. A priest, a mage, and a warlock walk into a bar. Then another, and another. CoLeader has a lot of bars. What do you do when your boat's under the weather? Take it to the dock. Are you in the market to buy a ship? I've got one that's on sale. What do you call 100 drunk sailors? A good start! Ha ha ha! I often get asked if I'm from Drustvar. Must be my resting witch face. Why is it that every mainlander immediately jumps to the conclusion that CoLeader is infested with old gods? Sure, we make giant tentacle statues and carve squid faces all over the place, but... Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it now.
All right. I can see that the video is ended, so I guess you heard all of them. Do you have any favorites of these from the male KT ones?
So I think that the last one in the video is pretty funny. Like, why are we infested with old gods? Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, it's like such a long one as well. Like he explains everything, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess. I see.
I also like the one about there being so many bars in CoLeader because it's really fun going to all the bars and seeing all the really wild drinks they have. It's not just like, oh, copy paste, drinks. It's all unique stuff.
Let's see, which ones are there? I guess one of the cheesy ones is You from Drisvar because you've got me bewitched.
Yeah, that one was good. Let's see.
Get your fishing net ready because I'm quite the catch.
Yeah. What do you call 100 drunk sailors? A good start.
Do we want to listen to the female one as well?
Yeah, I think some of those are funny.
Let's go for it. I'll play it. I'll play him.
Say what you will about the war, but at least it finally put Kultiras on the map. What's the best fruit for avoiding scurvy? Navel oranges, of course. I just got some piercings done at a great price. Only a buccaneer. What do you say to a lazy crew? Best get a kraken. Some were shocked that Lord Stormsong made a bargain with Ajara. But I always knew he smelled fishy. Did you know that roughly 3.14% of sailors are pirates? There's one thing I can never forgive Lady Jaina for. Losing her accent. I'm harbouring a crush on you. Care to join me for a bit of rocking the boat? You can't be nautical without a bit of naughty. Better be ready for me, or you'll miss the boat. Why don't we go somewhere a little more privateer? You don't look like much, but any port in a storm? You sure put the wind in my sails.
All right, that was all the female ones.
I like the Jaina one about losing her accent, especially because it's said in a really thick accent.
Yeah. Also, did you know that roughly 3.14% of sailors are pirates? I like that one too. And I just noticed from the chat, the one from the male Kultiran ones, the one about I like big boats and I cannot lie. That one is a good one too. That one is a good one too.
Yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah.
I often get asked if I'm from Drisvar. It must be my resting witch face. And that one is perfect for a female too, because normally it's females who talk about like...
Yeah, bitch, yeah.
Yeah, the B word.
I like, yeah. Also, you can't... some of the puns of the female ones are funny, like, oh, you nautical and naughty, or like private and privateer. So now we know what they are. So I think overall they're pretty good. I like how I think the jokes have gotten better over time.
You know, it's crazy. There's still people who do not know that jokes are real in the game as an emote. Like, I still have people who tune in when I'm playing around with people, like, making jokes around me. They're like, what? Like, they make actual real jokes, like, in World of Warcraft? I'm like, yeah. They make a lot of jokes. You can check them all out. You can make your character do it. It's different for different races. It's fun.
So... yeah, so if you're like, oh, well, I love these jokes, how do I get these allied races? We learned that too, as well on PTR.
How to unlock the new allied races.
So it's pretty similar to what Ian hinted at before, but now we have it finalized. You need to basically do all the lore quests for your continent. And that just is not just the 3 main zones, but it's also like the special extra things like the Jaina questline for the Alliance and dazar'alor Forever for the Horde. You need to be exalted with the related factions, so that's Proudmoore or Zandalari. And then you need to do the whole war campaign, so that's the Tide of Vengeance achievement. That's what specifically locks to it, but you have to do Ready for War leading up to Tides of Vengeance. So the 8.0 stuff and the 8.1 stuff, and if you need help with 7th Legion or Honor Bound, they've nerfed the reputation in 8.1. There is more quests and ways to get the reputation, so it should not be as daunting if you took a break or gave up on that reputation at the start of BSA.
And in case you want to have like just a quick screenshot of it, I have clipped the part that explains how to unlock them. So this one, for example, is how to unlock the Zandalari Troll. 1, exalted status with Zandalari Empire. 2, complete the main storylines and the special that happens after you've done the storyline. And 3, Tides of Vengeance war campaign, which will be available later. And for the Alliance, for the Kultiran requirements, we have this. So exalted with Proudmoore Admiralty, a Nation United achievement, basically finishing the storylines in Drisvar, Stormsong, Valley Tierguard Sound, and then also finishing the Jaina quest line after that. And third one, same as the Zandalor trolls to finish the war campaign.
Yep. This is a good transition into the more spoilery part of the show because we still have more Allied race news, but it explains how they join the Alliance and Horde. And while some parts are pretty straightforward, not all of it is straightforward. There are some surprises.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a spoiler tag. Maybe it's going to go up for a little bit.
Ooh, that's something that... give me a second.
Okay.
I should find it fast. So, live fixing stream. There we go. That was fast, guys, right? Probably didn't even notice that it was gone. This is the good thing with having a very organized computer. But yeah, there we go. Spoiler tag is up, and we're diving into some lore. And since Perk is the expert here, I will let her talk about it.
Cool. So, first up, we're talking about how the Kulturas and Zandalari join their factions. The Kulturas one is pretty straightforward. Jaina commissions a boat that her brother is leading, and it has the best people working on it, and she gives it to Anduin as a sign of loyalty between the Kulturas, Navy, because she's the Lord Admiral now, and the Alliance, and it's pretty straightforward, feel-good feelings all around. But then on the Horde side, it's a bit bumpier because it's not them just joining the Horde. It's Talanji needs to be recognized as queen, and her father has just died in the Battle of dazar'alor. So Talanji first needs to deal with civil unrest. People are really upset that they have a deal with Bwonsamdi and that their empire is now basically serving Bwonsamdi above all Loa. So she has to deal with that threat. Then she has to undergo a sacred ritual with the Loa. And when she gets to Bwonsamdi, he offers her a deal. He says, I will get rid of this deal that your father set up if you kill Sylvanas, because I would like to have the soul of a war chief. Mm-hmm. And she says no, that, she wants to preserve her sense of honor. And then all the Loa decide that, she shows great character. She can be coronated as queen. And then, there's a lot of funny text as it's going along, like, Talanji's like, Bwonsamdi, why are you in the place of Razan? Why are you so arrogant? And he's like, oh, it's part of the deal. Like, you said I'd be the top Loa. And then the Tortolin, they're part of her new council. Because, a lot of them were either treacherous or they were killed as part of the Zuldazar storyline. So High Prelate Rata, who was formerly representing the will of Razan, is now a council member, so that explains sort of how Zandalari, paladins still have a place. Oh, Bright Paw.
Bright Paw's like, story time. I'm gonna be here and listen.
The screen. And so she becomes queen. People seem mostly happy with her. Mm-hmm. She summons Sylvanas to announce that she would like to have a partnership with the Horde, and she is pretty strong-willed, and Sylvanas sort of has this attitude that she's maybe a bit too strong-willed. Talanji says, so let it be official, the Zandalari and the Horde will stand together as equals, and Sylvanas is like, equals? Mm-hmm. And Talanji says, well, I am the queen of the Zandalar, and a queen kneels to no one, surely you understand. Which is interesting because the sense of royalty and faction leaders sort of being subservient to the leader of the faction like King Anduin, that's more of an alliance thing. Mm-hmm. So it's funny how Sylvanas is now trying to be like, oh, well, like, I'm above everyone else, Before it felt like more the Horde is more equal before, and it seems interesting that Sylvanas is trying to impose this hierarchy of people bowing down to her. But Talanji holds her ground. So, I think that she's a pretty interesting ruler and exciting to see more stuff from her, that she has a good sense of sort of morals and making decisive decisions and doesn't seem to be replicating the mistakes of her father.
Mm-hmm. So her reason for not wanting to kill Sylvanas was the honor? Or what was the reason?
Well, she says, the Horde stood beside us when all seemed lost. I will not repay them with betrayal. Okay. My freedom is not worth my honor.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah,
So,
Talanji is an interesting character. It's always nice to see somebody who's also I don't know if independent is the word, but very strong-willed and knowing what she wants with all of this power going around and being able to question Sylvanas. I think that's great.
One of the other characters comments that King Rastakhan surrounded himself with traitors and snakes. Talanji has chosen her advisors widely. And other people are saying things like, oh, ordinarily I'd be opposed to an exile and a Tortolan among our ranks, but perhaps change is what we need most. So Talanji seems very proud of the Zandalari history, but realizes that it needs to change because they've sort of been a decaying or isolated empire for a while, and whenever they tried to sort of strike back or grow for a while, they were always on the losing end of things. So, you know, it's like, we're a real empire. We're taking our rightful place among the great kingdoms of Azeroth. You know, without the aid of the Horde, we would have collapsed under the weight of our pride. These allies have given the Zandalari new strength.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's basically it. We can't actually see this on the PTR, but, you know, usually we don't get to preview these. Well, sometimes they've hidden them, sometimes we could preview them, so we'll see how it goes. The one interesting note about Catherine Proudmoore is, we'll get to this in the next broadcast text, but there's always the allied race leader that gives you the heritage armor and seems to kind of be an important, like, fixture of the allied race. And Catherine Proudmoore has lines that are talking about being proud of you and giving you the heritage armor, so I don't know if she's going to be killed off like Rastakhan, if she seems to have this kind of permanent, like, position as the allied race quest giver person. I know there was discussion, especially with, you know, oh, is Sylvanas going to mind control Derek into killing the family? And, you know, Talanji and Jaina have similar backgrounds, and Rastakhan died. Is, like, Jaina's mom going to die? But it seems that Catherine is, maybe she'll have, like, quest giver immunity. We'll have to see.
And, well, yeah, mentioning the Proudmoores now, the next part of the lore will be covering some interesting information on Derek Proudmoore.
Right.
And what's happening around him.
This conversation is so fascinating because where we left off with the story, we haven't seen that on live servers yet, so there's, like, layers of an onion as to data mine stuff and speculation. But so what should happen after the Battle of dazar'alor is that Sylvanas retaliates by taking the corpse of Derek Proudmoore and, unsurprisingly, resurrecting it. It's like, well, duh, what was she going to do with this corpse that she wanted in the first place? And we've seen in Darkshore that there may be some elements of mind control going on, or that she's able to resurrect more races than previously in other expansions. For example, Night Elves, or having Dalaran Summermoon suddenly be gung-ho about being part of the Horde. So in the case of Derek, we left off where all the leaders were really upset that he was resurrected and essentially mind-controlled, because the whole concept of being Forsaken is free will, and he clearly does not want to be in his position. Bane Bloodhoof was really upset by this all, and it seems that he worked together with Zelling, the Tide Sage resurrected as Forsaken, to smuggle Derek's body back to Jaina and the Alliance. They meet in Theramore to do this, and stuff gets weird. So you have another player choice. You can report Bane's actions to Sylvanas or not. And it seems that canonically someone did rat Bane out, because Sylvanas holds a faction leader rally in Alliance territory with really expensive tickets to go in that goblins are charging for. And it's a trap where she seems to know that Derek has been smuggled off, that she's lost Derek, and she then uses it as an opportunity to, I believe, kill Zelling and arrest Bane. And then
arresting that's big.
Yeah. And especially because Bane was, we learned in Before the Storm that Bane was sort of blackmailed into supporting Sylvanas because he was always talking to Anduin and was even hinting it would be nice to, you know, join the Alliance. And when Sylvanas forbade him from talking, Bane gave Anduin a piece of his horn, which is a great sign of respect, to sort of, you know, show that he respected Anduin, and also that he didn't really this wasn't willingly. He didn't hate the alliance. It just was, he was sort of forced. He didn't want to be blackmailed. So, and then it ends with Jaina and Derek apparently having a kind of sweet conversation. If you take it at face value, it's like, oh, we'll stick together. You know, we're family. I know someone else that has the same predicament. You know, you can't go to Brawlers, but I think I know people that can help you. And it's like, oh, that's great. You know, she's going to put Derek in touch with, you know, Callie and Menethil, who's also this, you know, undead hybrid. And today they'll be, you know, like good Forsaken and have a family. Like, oh, it's so nice. But then when you think about it more, you almost wonder, was this a setup on Sylvanas? Was this so, you know, was Derek mind controlled at this point?
Yeah.
Was this actually part of her plan to where he gets sent to the Proudmoors in a way they don't suspect, while also showing Bane's disloyalty to her horde in one fell swoop?
Did Derek say anything weird, or was it just like, oh, all happy?
It wasn't weird. Something that makes me be in the camp of Derek is honest is that we data mined some, you know, when you like click on an NPC, it says a line. He has, some of his lines are like, the bottom of the sea was dark and cold, but at least it was quiet. I will make the most of this curse. Sometimes I truly miss being dead, completely dead, I mean. And that sounds like he's not really happy with his situation.
Yeah.
Also, in what we'll get to talking about next, I almost wonder if Sylvanas is so interested in Xal'atath. I mean, we saw her at BlizzCon holding the dagger because her master scheme for Derek fell through, so she's on to the next possible thing. But yeah, so I like to think that Derek is not mind controlled at this point, but Bane being arrested is causing, will obviously have a huge ripple effect. And
oh yeah, that is huge.
And like the player choice of, you know, canonically, you or someone important that helped Bane ratted him out to Sylvanas. Like we end up looking pretty shitty as well. Because like how else would she would have known that to have this meeting in Alliance territory? And even the little details that it's expensive to get in, like these are people that were probably paid to, you know, report on this rally a certain way. You know, people, because, you know, Bane is saying all these things when he's arrested, like, you know, you're betraying the Horde, you were going to deny him his free will, I couldn't stand by and have this, you know, unfold, you will leave the Horde in ruins. And Sylvanas is just like, there's no place for weakness in our ranks, remember your loyalties. So you have to imagine that she's paying everyone at this rally to go back to Orgrimmar and be like, oh yeah, you know, Bane said all these horrible things, and, you know, like sort of lie about it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to wonder, I was talking about this back with Teldrassil, for the people that weren't at Teldrassil, you have to wonder if there was propaganda, you know, downplaying what happened to the Night Elves. Or being like, oh, you know, like they were asking for it, or they wouldn't leave the city, or you sort of wonder.
Like, if not all Horde know the full story.
Yeah, because, like, you know, Zappy Boy sounded awfully chipper for Teldrassil just happening. Like, Sourfang's all tormented, and Zappy Boy's like, yeah, fight! And it's like,
yeah,
oh,
like, yeah,
what's going
let's
on?
do this war. Let's do it.
Yeah, so you sort of have to wonder that Sylvanas is definitely trying to control the message and frame the dissenters as, you know, the bad thing, but it's also like, how is this not like Mr. Pandaria? Like, you have Garrosh trying to assassinate Vol'jin, and you have Sylvanas imprisoning Bane.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, imprisoning Bane is a big deal.
So whatever Sourfang is doing off in the Swamp of Sorrows, please come back soon and help.
Yeah, so he's in Swamp of Sorrows right now, during this happening?
Yeah, so, well, the story ended in Swamp of Sorrows, and people are speculating that Sourfang, after his escape, that he went to maybe Outland, or maybe he's going to try to find Thrall, and, like, the Dream Team will be back. So it's like, please come back from wherever you are in hiding and do something.
Yeah.
Also, it makes me think that a possibility of a, you know, third faction or blurring of the faction lines, because if, you know, Sourfang is working with Anduin, and Bane formerly had positive communication with Anduin. It's like, well, these characters are on good terms with Anduin.
So they
maybe
would fit being on the same side.
Yeah, or just sort of like a neutral, like, let's be friends and not kill the world side. But yeah, interesting to see where that will go. I sort of have a thing that because there's been so much angst in Jaina's past, like home exile and like, her town being blown up. Like, I just think it's okay to just be like, okay, like just having her brother come back to life, but as undead, like let's not make her story even more tormented. Let's just, she's had a lot of bad stuff in her past. Let's just, not everything has to be like maximum angst with her. Let's just keep Derek sort of as a weird, like, undead emo brother for now.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to unfold. See if he is mind controlled or...
I mean, I almost wonder maybe he's not right now, but if Sylvanas is like trying to be a Lich Queen and get more control over people, if her mind control powers get greater, maybe she could just like
switch it on.
Yeah, switch it on regardless of target. It's like, now I have Xalatath, I'm sucking souls into it. I can, raise my Shadowmourne and command, legions of my minions. So I could see her working towards that.
You mentioned Xalatath, and that's a great transition into the next lore topic. Xalatath is back.
Yes, and so is Brightpaw.
So is Brightpaw. Brightpaw is also interested in listening to Perk telling all the stories.
Yeah. Brightpaw, I can't see this. What are you doing, Brightpaw?
We see one cat ear. No, we see both cat ears now.
Cat ear. Let's see. Well, as I open this, look, Brightpaw. Look. Do you want to play with this? Look.
Oh. Oh. He got it. It's his now.
Yeah, he got it. So, we have Xalatath's Gambit, which is a quest line where Xalatath is back. And we've got Hati back, who is like the happy puppy everyone likes. So we have Xalatath back, who's the evil artifact that everyone likes. And there are some
one cute one, one evil one.
There are some new world quests to defeat the Naga invasions, and you get this item as you're defeating the Naga, as you're killing the Naga, and it's you basically, Xalatath is at a Naga altar, and you bring it back, and Xalatath's like, oh, I'll help you defeat the Naga, like, get me these artifacts that they want, and you're like, oh yeah, I love you, Xalatath, sure. And this ends badly, of course, because you bring all these highly dangerous artifacts to the Crucible of Storms, and you put them there, and then there's an unimplemented cutscene, and when it ends, your character has the permanent buff Gift of N'Zoth. So, based on the text that we've pieced together, it seems that Xalatath has brought these useful items to help free N'Zoth in return for her freedom from the dagger. So that doesn't sound good. And
we have some player choice here too, right?
Yeah, we have some player choice here. So we talked about Gift of N'Zoth. That apparently is a cosmetic buff where everyone's head has an eye on it.
It's
you
on
see
the on the forehead or like above the head?
I think it's meant to be on the forehead.
Okay. Oh, that's creepy.
So it's always, yeah.
Okay.
And then you talk to Brother Pike, and at first he's like, Xalatath tricked you, but then he's like, you see eyes everywhere? This is more dire than expected. Do not trust what you are seeing. These eyes are surely just N'Zoth within your mind tricking you. So then the player choice is that there is a series of data mine dialogue, and one option is, are you sure you wish to cleanse the Gift of N'Zoth? You will not be able to undo this decision.
Oh, so you can't undo it.
Yeah, so it's like, no, like, I'm totally down for N'Zoth. Which brings an interesting choice of, I'm sure players also want the choice of, oh, I'm too smart to fall for helping Xalatath, But I don't know, still having some choice is better than no choice, I guess. It's just funny how one choice is like, I can be a, total fanatic. And we have
it's a permanent effect. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if you remove it, then it's gone forever.
Yeah. I wonder if it will fade at some point, because I can't imagine people having N'Zoth
That's the
eyes
thing,
on
yeah.
them. Yeah, or maybe someone will be like, I'm totally an old god follower now. I'm going to be a cultist. Like, hail N'Zoth. And
Maybe
then
like a patch later something, like it changes.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, if you're dedicated to, N'Zoth so much, but they'll add a feat of strength for, being like most dedicated.
But then what if you removed it and then
right.
you can't take it back?
That goes back to my idea of like you have the different characters that have different player choices, so you experience the story from all sides.
Oh, and then you could always level a new character to get the achievement that you're missing.
Yep.
Interesting.
And then the faction leaders all reacted to the old gods. So Sylvanas is very happy. She's all like, Xal'atath is a fascinating weapon. I've heard tales of its exploits. This blade is more than a mere dagger. It is a torch that shall light our path forward. And that's like, uh-oh, because Il'gynoth's like, there are 5 torches to light our path. And then she then says, the boy king has lied to himself and his people. The war is about to shift yet again, and it will be this blade that guides our way to victory. So she's all like, yeah, exciting. But Anduin is like, another old god awakened. This does not bode well. Talanji's like, we defeated Gahun, but N'Zoth poses an even greater threat. No, Bright Paw, no. Why are you eating my elbow? And Brother Pike is like, the old god wants us fractured, divided. I fear this war has given N'Zoth exactly what he wants.
I see his tail like just boom on your headset.
Yeah. So, Sylvanas is really excited about having Xal'atath, and if you remember what we learned at BlizzCon when asked about Garrosh versus Sylvanas, they were talking about how Sylvanas thinks that Garrosh is an amateur, and he was trying to do stuff with the heart of Ysarge, and it blew up, Veil of Eternal Blossoms. Yeah.
Just burnt down Teldrassil,
Right, so it's going to get even worse. This also ties into some data mine text we got about N'Zoth. So we don't know where this is yet, but he has voiceover, which is very exciting because now we actually get to hear him in the game. And some of the lines are follow-ups to whispers from past things. So we have the light has struck a bargain with the enemy of all. And it's like, is that Kalia Menethil? That's sort of this mix of light and undeath. Because, everyone thinks undeath is, this anomaly. Then we have 6 seats at the high table, 6 mouths that hunger, 1 will consume all others. Is that the seat of the Pantheon, or is that all the different schools of magic, light and void, fel, stuff like that? The veil wanes, his crown will open the way. Is that Anduin? The fall of night reveals her true face. She will bring only ruin. Is that Tyrande, with the, transformation she underwent with the Night Warrior ritual?
The fall of night.
Yeah. Then it's when the arrow finds its mark, the last fetter will fall away. Arrows are usually Sylvanas or Illyria. So you have to wonder if arrow finding its mark is symbolically when Sylvanas has Xal'atath, things will fall into place, or maybe it's when Illyria's husband and son, if they kill, then she'll lose her grasp on being balanced and she'll be consumed by the void. You don't know. Other things all that were sleeping shall be awakened. That goes back to what Sylvanas was talking about, how things can be awakened in war. That which was sunken shall rise. That sounds like Rise of Ashara. That whole patch, things not being underwater. She is not the last but the first. Drown her and you will see. That almost makes it seem like on her third death something big will happen. So then they say things like we slumber no more, we rise as he rises, we'll become one with the void, she leads the lamb to the slaughter, a worthy sacrifice. And Ogmut's dream journal was all about the shepherd is leading all of his sheep off of a cliff. So this all sounds super exciting. I love it.
Some of these are really spoopy.
Yep. And then, of course, the Crucible of Storms raid has lieutenants of N'Zoth and Dashara, and they have some voice lines, pretty usual stuff. But it's, it's like, his gaze falls upon every path. His devoted outnumber the sands and the stars. The blood tide rises. Also, when Unat calls for help, he's like, I want to drown them. And the Zoth is like, patience, they may yet prove worthy of my gift. I will taste their dreams, their flesh. So this is all super, super twisty and cool. But yeah, so that's it with N'Zoth. And then if we want to close this on a lighter note, we learned a little bit about Hati.
Yeah,
so the
Hati is back.
Yep, it's super, well, we're going to be able to tame him, but it's sad because Hati was the puppy from the Beast Mastery artifact weapon, and when the Legion weapons became unstable, Hati was lost. And we are trying to find Hati, and Hati's essence is split in locations where he performed great sacrifices in life. So it's just like, oh, this puppy.
Yeah.
So it's at the Temple of Storms in Silithus. And when you try to get Hati's essence, he's really hurt and confused and angry, which makes sense because we essentially, corrupted Hati and stuck him into this eternal, purgatory.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of sad things like, Hati howls in pain, like Hati is scared. But we eventually, together with the help of Thorim, fully charge up the essence. And then Mimiron comes to tell us that the process sort of blew out and short-circuited some of his equipment, but we were able to fully get Hati's essence, and we should go back to his workshop and find Hati. We don't have the reunion, but we know that it's going to involve getting some essences in Storm Peaks and Silithus. And it's just super sad being like, oh, we killed this puppy. Like, we're such assholes. Like, we get the weapon because we supercharge Hati, and then Hati can only exist as part of the gun, and then we just, like, callously dump Hati again. That's just so sad.
Yeah. But
Xal'atath has lines about that, too. Xal'atath is like, hi, priest. Like, I don't know if I can forgive you for Silithus, but I'm back.
So with Hati, are you going to be able to tame him like a regular pet in that case?
Yeah, I think so. It's not up for testing yet, but the idea is to always have Hati as a permanent tame, separated from the artifact.
Okay. Cool.
Right, Puz? Or like, pets, I'm a good pet.
Yeah. Like, Mom, you want me, right? You don't want Hati.
Exactly. He's like, I don't want this dog. I'm a cat. But yeah, so that sort of wraps up the spoiler section of our coverage.
Story time is over for now, so let's remove the tag right there. And next up are some system updates.
Yeah,
some
so
general
this next
updates
one's
to the
a
game.
little confusing because they never tested reaping on the 8.1 PTR, which is bad because it's like really important for competitive Mythic Plus, and the season is starting in less than 2 weeks. And they enabled that on the 8.15 PTR, so I think that led to a lot of confusion that like is reaping 8.15, but it's not. They just finally tested it. So we know what reaping does finally. Every 20% of the enemy forces bar, Bwansamdi resurrects all dead mobs from that interval as like specific ghostly NPCs that rush toward you, and they do different interesting effects, and you have to kill them all at once. And then another interesting thing is that if you fail the keystone, you can talk to Bwansamdi and get increased health and damage by 20% for the remainder of the dungeon. There's also a funny buff called Death's Burden, and it says you have accepted the aid of Bwansamdi, but at what cost? So it's like, oh, this sounds like another Gift of N'Zoth situation.
Like you might do something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting though. So they give you a buff if you're failing, basically.
Right. So if you just want to like maybe still finish the dungeon and
instead of giving up completely.
Yeah. So that's what it does. I know some, high Mythic Plus people are very happy they can finally test this now.
Mm-hmm.
And
it
I just
sounds like
hope
something
it's
that's
not buggy.
easily controllable as well. Like you can decide when you want to hit 20%. Like you can wait at 19%, make sure you have your cooldowns already and all that stuff. And then 20%, bam, now it's time to kill all of those new ghosts that will be running towards us. So you may not want to, pull a huge pack when you're at 19%.
Yeah, I can see it being a struggle if not tested with all combinations at first. Like
Yeah.
people in the comments saying that Grievous seems like it's going to be pretty troublesome if you have like not great healers, especially if you're pugging it. But this is something that only appears on 10 plus keystones. It's just I just hope they have proper testing on it. Like it does sound like it sounds very cool. But you don't want to have one keystone combination that it just is like awful to deal with, and then people don't want to run it. I mean, they finally fixed the dungeons to be more balanced a few weeks ago, and you don't want something else and then be like, oh, well, never do this dungeon with, reaping because it's going to have issues. Yeah.
They have to make sure that they're equivalent. Since they removed the ability for us to delete a key, it has to be more doable.
Yeah. Aegis is asking something. I'm doing a search for it. It's on. I'm keeping necrotic. Oh, I don't see it in the post.
I'll quickly mention the giveaway again in that case. Annie Yay, so my name with a yay after it as one word, is the code or the keyword rather to enter the raffle to win the new, what is it called exactly?
Vulpine Familiar.
Vulpine Familiar. The latest mount. It's a very, very cute mount, and it is it was decided as a mount because today is my 1-year anniversary being the host.
Yay.
And mounts are one of my main things that I farm and collect, so we thought that would be the most fitting for the giveaway today. So there you go. Yeah, Annie Yay. Yeah, not anyway. Annie Yay.
One sec.
Yeah, the keystone running out giving you a buff. That's interesting. It reminds me of the LFR. What's the LFR buff called when you wipe?
Determination.
That's it, yeah. It reminds me of that.
And it stacks up to 10.
Yeah, this one probably doesn't stack. 20% is a huge, just baseline buff. It's to help you guys, what if you're on the last boss, you're wiping, and then the group just decides to disband because there's no point. Well, now you have a 20% buff, which is quite huge, meaning that you can at least probably be able to clear it now, which is nice.
Yeah, also, also...
The winner will be, the winner will be announced by Sass in the chat, so you have to look at the chat. We may not be announcing it, it's Sass who's announcing it, so keep an eye out on the chat. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we got one more topic to talk about, really. But yeah, so Aegis was asking about if Necrotic is affected, and we don't know yet, but we know they're unaffected by Sanguine.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so for our last PTR topic before we just wrap things up, we have some profession updates, which I think are a good thing because professions were very intricate in Legion with interesting quest lines, and they were very kind of boring at the start of BFA. And we've learned about the tools of the trade profession items, which are from these elaborate quest lines, which we can't do them yet, but we know what the items are, and we've data mined the models of the items, and some of them look pretty cool.
I have some pictures to show you guys. Let's see. This is the golem, which is part of the enchanting one.
Yeah. So for the enchanting one, you can consume a Veil Crystal to animate an inert golem, and it's either the Tide Watcher for Alliance or Voodoo Mask for the Horde, and you gain extra resources while disenchanting. So I think that looks pretty cool.
Another one that looks cool is the engineering one. Do you want to tell us what that one does as well?
It is an Uber Spanner, and you can create more of them because there's different modules. And you can summon one of three things. One are boombots, one is an improved target dummy, and one is a sentry. And the sentry looks like a puppy, while the actual thing kind of looks like a weird wrench with all sorts of lightning shooting out of it.
And then I have one more picture to share with you guys of the jewel crafting one.
Cool. So you can extract an embedded gem and from one of your socketed items. So the guess is that, if you get a new piece of gear, you don't need to get rid of the gem. And then you can also interact with shrines around Kulturas and Dazar'alor, and then you get special gem geodes to, extra gems I guess you can mine. Mm-hmm. One that I wanted to highlight, I don't think you have a picture of this, but is the tailoring one. Mm-hmm. The synchronous thread. This is more interesting because of the quest that goes along with it, which we data mined. I think it sounds pretty cool. We know more about this one than the rest. Mm-hmm. You go talk to this Nightborn that is a time weaver, mm-hmm. and you go through different time ways with her, in which she tries to rescue different versions of herself that have different areas of failure. So one is a corrupted infinite shade, and she has like very dark, kind of twilight skin. One is the Grand Magistrix, that's too power hungry. One is a version of her where she's a withered. One is a demon hunter version of her called Delithara. And then one is a humble tailor version of her called Seamstress Delithia. And the dialogue is really cool. And it's just neat how you see the character sort of reimagined in different ways. It has the same haircut, but the armor is totally different. And I guess withered is different as well. But it's just neat. I just think it seems fun, and just how appearance can convey different personalities or backstories. Mm-hmm. And it seems pretty trippy, and this is just the tailoring one, so the other quests that we don't know about seem like they'll be pretty involved as well. I also want to highlight the blacksmithing one, because it seems there is player choice here as well. It seems you're working with someone that has shared some engineering or blacksmithing secrets of Therazane, and she finds you and she's like, why did you share your knowledge with this mortal? And she offers you a choice where you can either choose to free the person that was helping you, or betray them, and there are different dialogue options based on what you choose. You end up getting the plans no matter what, but for one thing, it's like, I had a feeling there may be a shred of virtue in you, Surface Dweller. You're free to go, but don't think you'd be unpunished. You value life over possessions. Take the anvil. But the other choice is like, oh, typical Surface Dweller. You're so selfish. Take the anvil and go away. So, more little sprinkles of player choice to keep in mind.
Maybe there'll be a continuation to them as well.
Right. Like, selfish.
It's a good point. Like, Legion had very, very detailed storylines for the professions, and then BFA came with pretty much nothing. I enjoyed the storylines for the professions on my main. Yeah. I did not on my alts, because some of them took very long, especially needing to do dungeons and such. But maybe we can find something in between that doesn't require as much to do, but still have somewhat of a story.
Right. These items are also, like, interesting transformative things. So if you're just playing an alt and you're like, I need this cooking recipe, like, you don't need to do this special quest. This is just like it's like cool stuff, but if you're just an alt that needs basic stuff, you don't need to do these, I believe.
That's good. That's good. Because before they were limiting how much you could skill, and or at least how much it would cost to skill or something like that. So you kind of had to do the profession quests.
Yeah. So I think we're about done with information. We didn't get a ton. Yeah, we do have a winner. Yay.
Time Lord Faust, congratulations on your new Vulpine Familiar. A very, very pretty mount. And I hope and think that you will like it a lot.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You were saying something, sorry.
Oh, no, that was fine. I just, I was also just thinking about, love to hear chat's thoughts on this as well. I don't have time, to stream as much as Annie, but I thought it might be interesting if I were to stream things like PTR builds, or streaming myself at work updating various guides. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of a way where I can, do more streaming things, interact with the community, but also the job has a lot of overtime, so there are only so many hours in the day, but I don't know, I was thinking it might be interesting to do stuff like PTR updates or sharing parts of work that might actually be interesting to other people.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah, so I'm just like planning all this in my head. So people have any thoughts, let me know. And I'm trying to think of putting something together maybe in the next few weeks, especially because the 815 build last week, a few days ago, it went really well. So I think that since we haven't had any kind of PTR crises for a while, it's actually pretty under control, and we could focus on the showmanship of it and we'd actually be sharing stuff as it was coming out, as opposed to just having problems happening behind the scenes, although I guess that would be funny too to see. But it might be cool at this point to just focus on how we make the connections and share the models as we're finding them as we format the post. So
exactly.
I don't know, just ideas.
Yeah, that means people will get like sort of first access before the posts are actually live and everything, so they get to see all the news before anyone else. I think that sounds great.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about this in my head about other stuff to do. I'm also trying to sort out Wowhead on Instagram. So if there's any topics you think would be fun, like, Transmog Thursday, or like, I don't know, dumb, Warcraft Wednesday, or, just like Meme Monday. If there's any sort of things you think would be cool to see on Wowhead's Instagram, let me know. I'm still also setting that up as well.
I think those things sound great, like hashtag with Transmog Thursdays or something, where like you can maybe pick a few and like, what's it called? Like post them yourself with credit to the person. I think that sounds great.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking of like some New Year's resolutions and new things I want to do. So, yeah, this might be Bright Paw's like, my resolution is to pull out your headset. Oh, he did. Bright Paw, why did you do that? 1 sec.
Okay. I haven't seen Luna all stream.
Oh my god, he just muted me.
Oh,
and
really?
when I went to put it back, now he's sitting on my chair.
Oh, that was his plan all along. He wanted your chair perk.
Yes,
he wanted your chair.
I got you. No. What do you think of the streaming work? Do you want to be on the stream? Do you like streams? Of course you do.
Oh. But no, I think that sounds great though. I think people will like it, especially the people who are really into it, like, the people who read those things immediately as they're posted on the website. I'm sure those people would be very interested, and it could also like help with the communication between you and the audience, or like the community as well, because then people can have like firsthand, like direct contact with you as those things are being written. So I think that's great.
I think it might be fun to do the broadcast text as well. Like, oh, here's 200 lines of stuff.
Yeah, like let's put it together.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there could be potential there. We also all get on Discord for all of our calls, and we have really funny reactions. Like hearing 10 people be like, "Ooh, Sour Fang model," just sounds really funny and entertaining. So streaming. Having those calls on in the background as one person is putting the post together, I think could also have high entertainment value.
Yeah, definitely.
As long as things don't go south and we're like screaming about how bad it is. But like, there's so many funny things. Like Stefan is always finding the mods. He was always like, "Oh," and we're like, "What did you find?" And he's like, this is something. And like the suspense is building, and then he finally shares it, and then the rest of us are like, ooh. And it's just I don't know. It
That's
sounds
awesome.
pretty.
Then the community can get into all those memes as well. That's awesome.
So I think it might be interesting.
Oh, your voice disappeared.
Oh, I think it would be interesting to set up.
You think it'll be interesting to set up?
Yeah, and Bright.
Oh, it's still low.
Well, what did you
Microphone, please.
What did you do?
Feels bad. I can turn you up, but that means
I didn't touch anything.
I'm glad I didn't. I was gonna turn you up, but then I was gonna warn people that it might be a sudden surprise when you go loud again. Yeah. But you're loud already, so we're good now.
Yeah. Bright Paw is just like, I don't know, destroying this computer.
Aww.
And that's the wires and everything. Bright Paw, did you eat a wire? Is that why I sound funny?
Oh.
You can be honest with me. Did you eat the wire?
Did she eat the wire? So what's the last wire that he's bitten off?
My little headset that doesn't have the big thing at the top. I asked Blue for a headset as well. I was like, hey, so my cat keeps eating my earbuds.
Hopefully they can get you one of those as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, do we have any other questions from the chat? Anything listed up?
Looking. No, we don't.
We don't. Okay, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps up everything that we wanted to talk about today. So as you could have seen, it was mostly 8.1.5 updates. The current PTR that is going on, obviously it may not be in its final state, but we still wanted to share them with you so you guys can see what is going on and what we can probably expect in the near future. Not as near future as the next season though. So with the next season comes the new raid, and I think, wait, what else comes with the new season?
We think the PvP season, more of the war campaign quests, Mythic Plus, and the new raid, and the Azurite ring.
Gotcha. Yeah. So those things are happening on the week of the 22nd of January, and 8.1.5, our expert Perk is estimating it to be sometime towards end of February, maybe even March.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards March just because something always goes wrong, and this patch has a lot, and there's so much stuff we didn't even test yet, like the Warlords time walking and the Brawlers Guild. And Brightpaw is just
probably
being
March
ridiculous.
Brightpaw being Brightpaw. I can see his paws, like, is he laying on his back?
Yeah, well,
and
he's attacking the rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's being ridiculous. Yeah, he's just rolling all around on my desk and biting my arm. You were talking about the patch, and I was making funny faces because he was gnawing my elbow, which is very sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Perk does play WoW indeed, and maybe if she does start streaming, maybe she can show some of her gameplay as well. But obviously, running Wowhead does mean that she is busy a lot of the time, so it might be a little bit more reading than playing, but she does.
Yeah, it's also like, I mean, if you're streaming every day, you can be like, oh, today I'm going to do my scheduled run with viewers, or tune in at the same time to see me do my weekly quests, and like I can't offer that same type of regularity.
Yeah.
So I don't want to like have it sort of not really feel as community, or just sort of being random, and it's not as, it's something a lot of people can do better when they have more time and can focus on it. Involving the community. So that's why I'm thinking, what can I do that's unique? And then I'm thinking of stuff like, streaming the PTR builds, like Tuesday.
I think that
when
would be more interesting because it is unique. Like no one else does that.
Right. Like when the build hit Tuesday, it started at like 3. I went until 10. Then I learned the broadcast text had some issues, so I should probably sleep then. So I slept from 10 to 3. Then I woke up at 3 a.m. I started on the broadcast text, and then did the whole day on that, went to bed at 9 p.m. Then got my schedule reset. So it's like so many hours, and to think about like, oh, now I got to do my regular stream to, fit in my, run with viewers. It's like, where are the hours in the day? I'm just dealing with this PTR. But I mean, obviously if the streams do go well with, PTR, reacting to PTR stuff, I could see expanding into things. It's just, streaming can be overwhelming. And I think starting with one type of thing I can do is better than being like jumping into the deep end and being like, okay, now I got to be perfect at all these things. And
Yeah, no, definitely. I think focusing on the PTR building will be the most unique thing that you can focus on. It's like, it's what you do, right? And it's nothing really that I have seen streamed, at least. So it would be unique to viewers as well. And I think that's a great thing. And then what you could do later, if you'd want to, of course, is bring a special, If something cool happens, you could be like, yeah, I promise to, I don't know, do this one Mythic Plus with you guys or something as a special.
Yeah. Or like maybe move into streaming the actual PTR content, like when, when things have come down more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seeing the content first. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But I don't want to like step on any toes to try to be like, oh yeah, like my one like World Quest stream a week, tune in or else. Yeah, I just thought like doing something I feel confident at is probably a good angle into experimenting with it more, and as I feel more comfortable, that I could do more things. So
yeah. No, I think it's a great idea. I think a lot of people, a lot of us are now. I was going to say expect, but that sounds like a negative. Like, we're not going to expect you to stream, but a lot of us are looking forward to hopefully one day see you stream something so that we can see things. See all the PTR stuff being written down live.
Yeah.
But all right then. We have the giveaway winner selected. We have no more questions from you guys. We have mentioned all of the new things so far since the last show. And we have a very festive screen, festive decorations here, because today is the 1 year anniversary of me being a host. And I believe we are now coming to the end of it.
Yep.
I actually just realized when I was blowing up these balloons, Luna was scared and moved away. So I think she's actually avoiding me now because the balloons are here.
Oh, yeah. So another reason why balloons would not be good, like, can you picture Bright Paw with balloons?
Oh,
like,
God. He
like,
must... Yeah.
Pop, pop, pop.
I was worried that she might pop them, but I had a ton of balloons on New Year's, and she didn't pop a single one. Not a single one. I actually thought that would be impossible. I don't know how you do not even accidentally pop one, but she didn't pop a single one. Instead, she's carefully walking around every single balloon to not touch any of them, because she's like, what is this? Super scared of them. But yeah, I can imagine Brad Paw being the opposite. Like, what is that?
Yeah, like, I'm protecting you from this intruder who is a balloon.
It's funny to see such a contrast. But yeah, it's been 1 year already. It's crazy. It's been a long year. It's been a good year, actually.
It's been a good year. Yeah.
It's been awesome. But yeah, thank you all for watching. All shout outs to you guys here in the Twitch chat. Shout out to all of you guys on the Wowhead front page. And we will most likely see, or hopefully see you again next week, same time, to cover more news. And as Perk actually kind of... teased earlier, next week would be a little bit more focus on what to do before the new patch.
Yeah,
because there's going to be changes. There might be some things that you want to think about. I don't think anything will be gone, but there's always prep to do before a new patch.
Well, there's like the cutting edge for Uldir is going away, and there's a Mythic plus Feat of Strength for Season 1 that's going to be going away too.
There you go. There are things that are going away. Don't listen to me. Listen to Park. So next week we will cover those things. So if you're unsure and don't know what to do to prep for the new, I was about to say expansion, for the new patch, you can tune in next week and we will make sure that you know all the things to keep in mind for the new patch.
Yep.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever the time is for you guys, and we will see you guys next week.
Yep. We should do the high five thing.
Oh,
I'll do the sound.
But the balloon is kind of in the way now. Wait. Let me move up the balloon.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
We just added helium to the balloons, so they flew up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Great. 10 out of 10. Right, chat? I think that was a 10 out of 10.
Ripo stared up at me like, what are you doing?
Oh my god, Mom. You are so weird. Why are you always so weird? Minus 10 out of 10? Pretty close. I think Annie needs to keep her hand up. Okay. Mine goes down, you mean? But I'm higher up on the screen, though. I have to go down.
Yeah.
Or just keep it here. 4 out of 10. Oh god. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out and supporting. I saw a lot of resubs in the chat and some new subs too.
Yep.
I will make sure to add the alert next time here on the side, so at least you can see your name on the screen, because when we're in the middle of talking about things, it can be difficult to thank you guys, but I do see them. We do see them. Thank you very much for that support. See you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yep, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.